Here's a terrifying stat if you have a podcast or you're thinking about starting one. 90% of podcasts don't get past episode 3. That's about 1.8 million canceled podcasts. And of the about 200,000 shows left, 90% of those will quit after episode 20. That's another 180,000 podcasters out of the game. Meaning that for you to be in the top 1% of podcasters in the entire world, you just need to post 21 episodes. And we're gonna help you be that 1%. In this video, we're gonna walk through the major pitfalls that we see that people fall victim to that makes them quit, and how you can avoid those to make yourself the 1%. So let's get into it. I've been running my podcast for over 4 years now, and I've been creating content helping podcasters run their show for about as long. So I have seen a ton of podcasters come and go. And of the majority that leave, there's usually 3 primary reasons as to why they end up quitting. Reason number 1 is they don't realize or appreciate how much time and thought goes into running a solid show. And because of that, they don't actually allow themselves to build a system which makes it sustainable and allows them to stick with it. The second is unrealistic expectations, both in money made from the show, as well as the size of audience for that show. And this one's massive. I've seen so many podcasters quit because of unrealistic expectations. And the third is not having a strong enough why behind the show. Because if the why is strong enough and the reason for you doing it is strong enough, you will stick with it and you will become that 1%. So those are the 3 biggest reasons. Now we're gonna break down what you can do to avoid each of those pitfalls and stick with it for the long run. So pitfall number 1 was not appreciating how much time actually goes into this. So how you can avoid that is from the beginning, think long term. Build out a simple and easy to execute system that covers literally every step of your podcasting process. By having this in place now, it's gonna make future you far happier because you're gonna have a simple set of steps to follow and execute, which makes maintaining a show so much easier. Plus, as you expand and grow, and if you wanna bring people on, having a simple system built will make it so much easier to bring those people on and actually get value from them helping you. You wouldn't build your dream home on a rocky foundation, so don't build your dream show on a rocky foundation. Set up a simple system that you can stick to and execute. And you can do this however you want. You can do this in a Word document. You can do this in project management software like Notion, Asana, or ClickUp. Really, whatever makes sense for you is best for you, but have a system in place from the beginning to make executing this far easier. And your system will likely change over time, but by not having a system, you can't improve your system. So take the time to build a solid foundation now. Future you will thank you. Pitfall number 2 is unrealistic expectations when it comes to making money from your show and building an audience for your show. And this is a trap we see so many people fall for, largely because it's never been easier to start a podcast. That is absolutely true, but it's also never been harder to grow a podcast audience. And one of the biggest flaws when it comes to podcasting is discoverability. Most people don't find new shows directly from podcasting. They usually find it from other sources like social media, TV, or other forms of media that people have used to then push people to their podcast. So brand new podcasters entering the game with no money or influence on other platforms usually have a very tough time growing their audience, especially if they don't stick with it for the long run. And your best bet to remedy that is understanding that that is the current state of it. So you need to have a plan in place to grow the audience if that is a huge focus of yours. You're gonna have to funnel traffic from other places. So the earlier you think about that, the more opportunity you're gonna have to be strategic and creative with remedying that major problem of discovery when it comes to podcasting. But luckily there are tools like social media that you can use to get free and organic traffic that you can then funnel to your show. And we actually provide a ton of videos on how to best leverage those platforms to get listeners to your show. So if that's something you're looking to do, definitely subscribe to this channel. We'll help you do it. So the best thing that you can do when it comes to not falling victim to the growth trap is understanding the current state of the podcasting landscape and building a plan that allows you to grow at a rate that you're happy with over time. So many aspiring podcasters just think their show will blow up from them posting episodes, and that's just not how it works. And you now know that, so you're gonna build a plan to get traffic to your show. We're getting closer to that 1%. The next piece is the monetization piece. A lot of people have very unrealistic expectations with how much money they're going to make directly from their show. And those who get into it for the money typically fall off very quickly. Podcast traffic is wildly valuable, and you can make a ton of money from podcasts, and that's evident all over the place. Look at Pat McAfee signing a massive deal for his show. Look at Call Her Daddy, as well as Joe Rogan. And there are a ton more examples that you haven't even heard of that are making millions and millions of dollars from their show. But a lot of people see the headlines and they think that's the norm or that's easy to achieve. And neither of those are true. So there definitely is light at the end of the tunnel that is worth working towards. But so many people have just wildly unrealistic expectations with how much money they're going to make and how quickly they're going to make it. So definitely not here to crush your dreams. You absolutely can make a great deal of money from your show, but you need to be realistic in terms of how much time it's going to take to get to that place. Podcasting traffic is so valuable because of the connection that podcasters have with their audience. And that can only be developed from a great product, consistency, and strategy for audience development. So you need to be thoughtful about all these things and understand that they definitely take time. And the best way to avoid this pitfall is to look at this from a very long time horizon and view your show as an investment. It's something that you're building that will pay you back later. And the more that you see it like that, the stronger the chances that you will actually stick with it. And when it comes to podcasting, there's very much a compounding effect. So when you get to that place where you're making money, it usually snowballs very quickly. But it takes a long time to get that flywheel moving, which then builds that momentum to have the kind of success that you see other podcasters having. And so many podcasters never get there because they just had unrealistic expectations with how much money they would make and how fast they would make it, which you're no longer going to do. And the final tip to avoid this very common pitfall is just to come into your show with realistic expectations, but not realistic dreams. I want you absolutely to be working for crazy goals and going after those, but not falling victim to having expectations that make you quit because you didn't hit what wasn't even possible. So do everything you can to hit your audience goals as well as your monetization goals, but understand that this definitely takes time. And if you're not willing to be in this for the long haul, you probably shouldn't be in it at all because the flywheel takes a ton of effort to get spinning. But once it's moving, it's huge for you. It's huge. The third major pitfall that I see so often is just not having a strong enough why behind the show. And luckily, this is a fairly easy one to remedy. One, make sure you're talking about things that you love. If you don't love the subject matter of the conversations you're having, what is the point of running your show? There really isn't one. So start there. Make sure you're talking about something you're wildly passionate about. And the second tip really builds into that. People can sense and feel passion, both the guests that you have on as well as the listeners who listen to your show. So make sure you're passionate about this stuff. It gives you a unique advantage that will actually allow you to stand out whenever anyone finds you. And honestly, I think this is a necessity because if you're not passionate, you won't have what it takes to stick with it through the adversity and the growing pains. And the third tip is to take the time to actually think about why you're doing the show in the first place. Because if it's a fairly shallow reason as to why you're doing it, like say if it's just to make X amount of dollars, it's highly unlikely you're going to have the fortitude to stick with it long enough to get to the results that you even want. So do yourself a major service to figure out the deeper why behind this and the impact you're trying to make. Because if the why is very, very strong, it becomes so much less about the numbers and your ego and so much more about the impact and the reason why for having the show. And this why can be whatever makes sense for you, but if it's strong enough, you're going to stick with it. The product will be good enough and success will become inevitable. It will become a matter of when you're successful, not if. So definitely take the time to think about this. And if you want a little pro tip for developing a strong why is to ask yourself some tough questions. And if you can get to a place where you would do this show if you never got paid for it because the why was so strong for your business, for your life, for the impact on the world, whatever it may be, then you are very likely to have what it takes to be successful. And it sounds super counterintuitive, but if you do this for free, you're probably going to do it so well that you will eventually get paid because the market will want to for all the value that you're providing to the market. So a strong why is an absolute must. And we here at Podcast Pros not only want you to stick around for the long haul, but we also want you to have a ton of success with your show and make it a great experience for everyone involved. So be sure to subscribe to this channel if you are a podcaster or an aspiring podcaster. This is the destination for you. We will help you do everything you want, achieve all your goals, and do it all easier. Congratulations, you're now in the 1% of podcasters. I can't wait to hear your 21st episode. And if you're looking for some more help with running your show more effectively, this video right here will help you do it so much better. So go ahead and click that. I'll see you over there.